Welcome in, Shield Brothers and Shield Maidens, to Shield's Rest. I'm Brown,
And I'm true.
and we just want to say thank you for joining us today. I'm looking right now at the subscriber count, and it's somehow going up every day. So I just want to say thank you for that. 134 is crazy,
Yeah,
and it's exciting to wake up every day and see that grow. So
gotta love
I
it.
think, yeah, today we're gonna start just by talking about some stuff and see if we get any engagement from you all in the community. And if you have any questions, we're looking to hopefully answer those and have a conversation with you. Um, First thing though, True, I guess I'd like to start with just kind of talking about Daggerheart.
Yeah,
One of the
sure.
first things I guess we could talk about is just when we're playing again. Really excited to play with Hubbug. I think about it often. That's such a good character that I'm proud of.
I think it's the accent that just makes me love it all the more. Really brings
You
the
know,
whole character together. But yeah, so for Mistletoe, because we've had kind of like holiday constraints and some schedule constraints here, especially between work and family and things like that. I mean, bound to happen at this time of year. But
mm,
the
true.
main issue we were running into was essentially the fact that I've got leave planned and I'm taking a trip and all that, which
Mm,
we'll bring up a little bit later. But so we're going to be
yeah.
planning to play the next Mistletoe in the beginning of February, somewhere in the first 2 weeks of February. We'll knock that out and get back onto a hopefully a normal
Mm.
schedule. So yeah,
Yeah, I've really been loving that system too, and the way that we've been, not that we've changed it, but I guess we're playing it more to like what a tabletop, is in essence, which is more the role play side and really trying to develop our characters and get that attachment to them. So
right.
everything feels more, not real, but there's a realism to playing, which I think is what really, for me, like enacts the whole fun side of the tabletop role playing games, actually, transverse yourself into a new world. So that
Yeah,
part's
well,
been
and it's great
interesting.
when you can actually fully embody your character
Mm,
without having to worry about class constraints, and on top of that, whether the rules allow for you to do some of these things. You don't really feel like you have those restrictions on you, I would say. I think it feels a little bit
right.
more free to
Hmm.
enjoy just the narrative of it all rather than worrying
Mm,
about do you have the proficiency with this skill to be able to do this kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of
mm,
benefits to playing a Daggerheart rather than trying to get into a very complicated system that has a more granular look at these characters. It allows you to just kind of freeform things randomly in and not feel like you have to make it make sense. It just sort of makes sense, just immediately, by virtue of the fact that there's not a lot of rules to force that in. So that's kind of the
right.
main reason why I think I've been gravitating to it a little bit more. I don't know. What do you think
Mm,
from a player side? Like, how do you feel so far just from a player
yeah.
side with the character
No,
as
yeah.
far as the rules are
Perfect thing.
concerned?
I was gonna say that, and I think I've said it before in a call. I don't know if it was in any of our recorded videos, but the thing that I like the most about Daggerheart is the experience system in there
Yeah.
because I feel like, I'd even though I've been playing for years, right? I've only been playing with one group and like one system predominantly, so I would still very much consider myself like a beginner in that sense, even
Yeah.
though I'm familiar with like Dungeons and Dragons specifically. But going into Daggerheart, there are different mechanics and things that am brand new to, like from a general sense. And so I think the one thing that sticks out to me and has been is the experiences because it really helps you to one, you can use the experience to really define your background or your character at the beginning, but two, as you level up and progress, you get access to more experiences or to enhance your current experiences. And so that does two things. It either reinforces the background of your character or hey, your character turned out a little different than you were expecting and now you're able to kind of create a new experience or something to account for that. And in the role play side of my mind, that really helps me get involved into it and think of fun ways to bring that into a situation, whether it's combat or not. Those experiences and oh, how would I use this to do that? And then you can pump the hope into it to use that experience and get the little advantage. So
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I do love that system for that reason because I think
mm,
it's just so nice to see players getting to really put in that forethought into what kind of experiences do they want to have. Like
right,
for Galvin, Fry's character, he actually got to put in a lot of thought into his blacksmithing side, because he's like, I want to
right,
make it feel like I'm a blacksmith. Well, experience is a
mm,
great way to do that. So I absolutely love that, and for you for the baking, of course. I mean, can't go wrong with that. Um,
I gotta weave
and
that in a little bit more, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'd like to see more of it come through, and I think we're going to see that in the next
Yeah,
episode or two at least, especially with the wedding coming up and everything else. I think
right,
that's going to
right.
really give a lot more opportunity for your character, more particularly,
Mm,
to kind of shine through with what you can create. Which I think you're going to
yeah.
enjoy the mechanics that are going to come into play here for you baking this cake and doing this whole thing for the wedding. So,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, can't
I think
wait.
it's going to be
Gotta
fun.
make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we looking back, man. The I mean, we've played more Daggerheart than just this campaign, but in the two sessions, or well, I guess three technically, because the second one was so long because we had so much
Yeah.
fun, right?
Yeah.
So this will be our third time playing, but our fourth session, in a sense. So I think they went so quick, like so much happened, but like I said, back to my point of like how I feel like I'm really involved in it, is
Mm-hmm.
that it feels like a again not real, but it feels like I'm actually in the game, which makes it go so quick. And then when I look back, I'm like, man, we did all that stuff, but it was like time just flew by.
Yeah.
And we had some early instances of Dungeons and Dragons like that, where I'd go, go to your house and we'd meet up. We'd play like 8, 9 hours, but it'd feel like you blinked and it's over.
Right. It's
So
like,
I'm like
wait, do we have to
really
stop
digging
right
that.
now?
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
is
We had to.
nice
I
to
remember
feel
we had
that
to be
again.
like, yeah, we had to be like, hey, 8 hours is too much. Let's just play
Yeah.
more often, less
we
time. And
we gotta dial it back, y'all.
that
Yeah.
worked well too. But yeah, I
Well,
think
and it's
Daggerheart
so
so
nice to
far,
have that group.
especially lately, yeah, the group. Uh,
I feel like the group is
Lately,
nice to
Daggerheart's
have,
just been
but
very involved.
it is nice to have that coming through from Daggerheart from that side of things that it
Mm,
enables that sort of play. But when you can have the
yeah.
group and you have the system that helps that along, it just really brings everything together in a
Hmm.
nice sort of cohesive manner. And I think that's satisfying for in a lot of different ways for pretty much everybody so far. So I
Yeah.
have enjoyed that as well.
I think and I would like to do some more combat in there, and I know that's coming up, but like, because the first time we played Daggerheart, where I played the, what do you call it, the Ribbit character,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
I was very like passive in combat, but I was still, I think, locked in my mind about like the D&D style, where I was like, in my mind, I'm a support character, and I'm gonna like kind of wait for other people to do things and then jump in and like add on to that or support them in some way. But the not change in Daggerheart, I guess, but the way that the combat works in Daggerheart is completely different. So I think my mind had to shift a bit. And then even in our current campaign, whenever I ran into those guys in the street, I just ran the whole time because I just feel like that's what my character would do, and it made sense. But like we
Right.
fought the orc and stuff, and I was still kind of like I'm this small baker goblin who's not really like used to fighting, so I was more like run around. But I think that'll develop a little bit further as we get in, and I think the combat will be really good. It's just I feel like I've not really gave it that fair chance because I've been passively playing in combat scenarios, which is fine.
Yeah. And
Um,
I think the other part of that, especially in the playtest, was more my issue because I wasn't used to the no turns side of things because
oh
obviously
right, yeah,
all the
that's a big
games have been
difference.
turn based this entire time. And so that was still a new concept to me. And I'm like, I don't know how I deal with this. Because I think we saw even in the
Mm,
playtest a few times where Mendenhall, like as a very energetic individual, was taking all these actions.
right.
It didn't occur to me at the time to pull that away and move it on to somebody else before he had another chance to speak because there was you and Ethan
Mm,
who were super quiet that didn't even get to do anything. Well, not as much as you probably could have if
yeah.
I was a little bit better at that. And so when I realized I need to move that spotlight around and
Mm,
really make that work in a narrative sense, that would have been so much better. But live and learn,
yeah.
and this is
I
what
mean,
we're starting to get into now, and especially with 3 players, which makes me feel like Daggerheart's meant for a smaller group. Not really
yeah,
meant for like
more
eight
contained.
to nine
Yeah,
players necessarily, because then a lot of people don't
right.
feel like they're gonna be able to get their spotlight necessarily. So I think keeping it
I think
small-ish,
that comes from it being more of a loose system where
yeah,
you're not like it's not as rigid. Not that D&D 5e is rigid, but it's more structured in a sense of like here's kind of the steps of things you are available to do versus Daggerheart, where it's a little bit more open. And so the more people you add into that, and the more people that are doing more open things, and then it
mm-hmm.
it starts to detract from the smaller people. And just for the combat, like me, I love to see Mendenhall just popping off. I'm support. I'm in the back
Yeah.
just waiting. If he needs a heal, I'm there. So it wasn't a big deal for me. But I think if you had called on me more or something like that, then obviously I would have done more things. But I was totally fine to just sit back and be like, yeah, kill them all.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it would have been more satisfying for you, and I think we could have seen what your character was going to be capable of. Much like Ethan, like I would have loved to have seen
Sure,
his
yeah, Ribbit
character
didn't do
really
much.
come through. Yeah, he sat there, he took some
Throw
damage,
was his
and that
name.
was about it. So,
Can't
but
remember his name. Gribble. Gribble. There you go.
yeah, that yeah. Well, we
That was
had
the name.
called it so many different things at the time because we were
I,
calling it a ribbit and a ribble and a gribble and
no,
all this other nonsense. So yeah, but yeah, I think it was a good test, and it makes you
mm,
realize a lot of things both as a player and as a GM. I think from the player side, I would be very interested in playing this because of the fact that I don't have a ton of options that I need to worry about while in combat because you only have like 2 to 3 class
right.
features, and then you only have about 1 to 2 subclass cards until you get into the higher levels, obviously, because you're only going to start out
Mm,
with the one until you get to level 5, and then you finally get the second one. So it takes you a little bit to build up the amount of features and things that you can do. But the domain deck cards,
right.
you can only have 5, so you have semi limited options that can still create some
Mm,
synergy, but it's semi limited in that aspect, which is both good and I don't know, feels sort of restrictive, but at the same time, like
mm,
it's kind of nice because you only have to worry about those 5 things. That's it. You don't have to worry about the 20 different things you're possibly able to do. It allows you to kind of really focus in on what it is you want the style of your combat to be. And I kind of like
right.
that idea.
Yeah, I do like you mentioned the domain decks or cards, whatever you want to call this, but yeah, I like that whole part of the system, obviously, but I feel like I've also not really like challenged that much because like you and Mindy have done like character builds and like been really in depth with characters all the way through development. I've really been
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuck to just the ones that I've built and what I've played up to.
Right.
But I think like as a team too, we've only played at like the lowest levels, and so we haven't really gotten into like having so many domain cards that we actually swap loadouts and things like that. So I am interested to see like how that more, I don't know, I guess mid level maybe, or high level combat works where you can actually make those calls to swap in and out
Right.
from your
Yeah.
loadout. Because
Once you
that
hit
whole
fifth
part of the system
level,
seems pretty cool.
yeah, no, it will be
Fifth
really
level.
interesting when you start using the stress to kind of swap cards in and out. Um, fifth level is about when that actually happens, so it's going to take us a little bit of
Okay.
time within the
Yeah.
story, but I've got a few things planned that I want to bring up because I'm getting into creating more homebrew
Mm,
for Daggerheart because I want to have more things to utilize
yeah. You
for Miss
gotta make it your
Tolev.
own.
Yeah, make it your own, and that's exactly what the system is for. It's intentionally lacking in content so that way you can
Right.
kind of build what you want and not feel like you have to have these things, or especially when other people see those things and they want to bring it in as like a player, you kind of want to bring those things in. It allows you as the
Hmm.
GM to kind of control that a little bit more. But
Right.
one of the ones I want to test out, and I think we'll be doing that here maybe in February. I'd like to test out the transformation stuff that I've been working on for werewolves, where I want
Hmm.
to kind of bring you guys in as like a wolf pack situation and really
Yeah.
see how not only the mechanics obviously work with the homebrew that I'm creating, but also so everyone can kind of see why transformations in Daggerheart are actually extremely cool by comparison to D&D,
Mm,
where you kind of have this set sort of stat block that you have to take. Like if you're going to
right.
transform into a bear, this is what you have.
Yeah. It's like take the brown bear monster card and that's you.
Yeah,
It's like,
and
all
that's
right.
you all of a sudden, and it's like, okay, that's cool, but the way they do transformations in Daggerheart is way more interesting, I think, because they add to the
Mm,
stats you already have instead of thinking that you're just
right.
a set standard of a brown bear. Now you're a brown bear based off of who you actually are. Like, are
Yeah.
you a strong individual? Well, you're going to get a little bit more strength from transforming into this bear by
Hmm.
comparison to, oh, we're going to just give you this stat block no matter what, and that's all you've got. So I do like that, and I wanted to take that and warp that into these forms of werewolves that you guys can. Well, you'll eventually see it. It's gonna be wild. So, but I
I've
wanted to
seen some
bring
of it on your
in some
OneNote.
of that horror. What's that?
I said I've seen some of it on the OneNote.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've seen it on the one note, but I want to get the other two in here and see what they think because I know they're
yeah.
kind of into at least the horror side of things, where it's a little bit more,
Mm,
I don't know, feels like monsters and being scary and
right.
nonsense, like the way they should
Yeah.
be, and not, I don't know. I never really enjoyed the D&D werewolf, the lycanthrope sort of idea. But I think Ghostfire Gaming was the first one that actually brought in a very interesting transformation for D&D, which I liked a
Mm,
lot, but not too many people either know about them or utilize what they've got out there.
yeah.
But I'm trying to take World of Darkness werewolves and move them into essentially
For sure.
Daggerheart here. So, you know.
Yeah, I think that'll work really well in Daggerheart. And just to some of the points you made is like again, I'm back to the role play element. It makes it feel more realistic or easier for me, like in my opinion, to role play as an actual transform werewolf when you get those shifted additions to your capabilities versus like, oh, just take the brown bear stat block. The mentality aspect is like, I don't know, that shifts it to a more basic sense versus, how it is in Daggerheart and what we're gonna,
Yeah,
be doing with it. So I think for the role play element, that'll help a lot of people that are newer or have a,
absolutely.
baseline
Well,
understanding.
that and when you can choose a form that adheres more to your style of character because your character is, let's say, more
Yeah.
agile, and you choose a form
Yeah.
that increases that agility even further, it even enables that role play even further because of the fact that you're now tacking on top of
Yeah.
what you already innately have,
You're
and it
able
makes
to
it a lot
mentally
more
connect
interesting.
with it. Yeah.
Makes it way
Yeah.
more interesting. So I'm excited to see how this plays out, especially for the one shot, but more importantly, within the game itself, to see if anybody starts getting into some of this stuff because we're going to be getting vampires in here. We're going to be getting like elemental type stuff in here a little bit. So there's a lot that I'm working
Nosferatu.
on
Yeah.
for this. But it's just a matter of when you guys finally discover this and get out of level 0 for Pete's sake.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we want Daggerheart to be a long-standing campaign where we can really
yeah.
like test the whole parts of the system, and I think that's kind of the part for me that I'm looking forward to because I do like Daggerheart. I
Mm-hmm.
just haven't played much of it in a sense of like D&D where we've kind of jumped
Done it
levels and
all.
had 4 and 5 different one shots and ran little different campaign books and things. So I just feel like D&D 5e, my experience is a lot more broad, where Daggerheart
Right.
is like it's still brand new to me, and so I do like it. I'm excited about it, but until I really like get through all of it, I don't
Yeah.
know like how much I'll actually enjoy it, right? And so I do like the things I'm
Yeah.
seeing so far. There's not really any downsides necessarily. It's just different than the normal not normal, different than the what I am used to
Right. Well, and I think the only
thus
downside
far.
that is there currently is the fact that because they are new, that they don't have that much content to work off of.
And
Like D&D,
I know
we've got
exactly where
books
you're
on
going with
books
this.
on books. Like there's so much to D&D, but that's the only thing that they have going for it. Like you have to homebrew, like basically do your home rules to make the system work a little bit better. Whereas with Daggerheart, I'm not trying to make the system work. I'm just trying to bring in content right now, which I'd rather
Yeah,
have that issue than a system
that's
issue
true.
where I'm now trying to figure out what home rule can I bring in that's actually going to fix this problem that I'm seeing.
Open
So,
domain decks across the board. No, I'm just, I'm
well, that
joking.
is one that I do want to see them change is the
What do
way
we call
that
that?
domain decks are like
Yeah.
divvied out, because you have to
A new
have these
class,
two.
make it a generalist. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'd like to see at least the main one, and then you can choose whatever the secondary is. So that way you can really flavor your character a little bit better than every
I mean,
bard being the
why can't
exact
you?
same.
Yeah,
We,
why
yeah.
can't you realistically,
No, no, you absolutely
Be a
can.
bard warrior? That totally exists in my
Well,
mind.
not even a bard warrior, but the fact that you're just a bard, but you have some melee tendencies, and so you take the blade deck instead of taking the midnight deck because it makes more
What's that,
sense for your character.
what's that
So
card Mindy took? Reaper Slash or whatever?
Reaper
Let me get a
Strike,
bard
yeah.
with let me get a bard with Reaper Strike.
Seriously though, like how crazy would that be if you're a high damage output sort of bard? I mean, or why not go with a bard that's also kind of got a little bit of cleric in them, a little bit of that seraph, and so they take a little bit of that splendor, and so they can heal.
Totally possible. Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
why
people
not?
exist in the world I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm excited about, though, is starting to get more into it. And when the official rules come through, and when I get the limited set right here, I
Um,
cannot wait to dive into
I feel like
that.
it's so close but so far, but the time is
Yeah.
passing really quick, and that's, not far away. What, half a
No.
year or less, right? So
So
we're
early, so
getting
it's
there.
sometime in spring. We don't know if it's early or late spring, but obviously I'm hoping for early spring. But yeah,
Yeah.
we know it's in spring though, so we'll see.
Hmm. And we by we I mean you, but we as Shield Vest are getting the deluxe version, right? So
Yeah.
we'll be
Oh
able to
yeah.
see that in all its glory and share that with the community. So
Oh yeah.
I'm
We're
looking
gonna do
forward
an
to that.
unboxing and we're gonna get into all of the things that it has in there. Um, I'll obviously dive into like my thoughts and feelings initially, and then once I get through the book and see where all the updates are, I'm gonna just do all the videos to
Mm.
kind of update those rules breakdowns that I already have on the channel and just refresh them so that way they are the official rules.
Yep, that's exciting.
But
I
that
can't.
kind
I,
of, I
I
guess,
don't know.
what's that?
We're gonna change our. I don't know where we'll be in our campaign at the time that comes out. We'll be like what, 5 or 6 or 7 in, so it would be perfect time to get some of that and kind of make changes if needed. And
Yeah,
so,
it might actually work out to where you guys actually hit level one when I finally get the book in.
there you go.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
level one. Yeah, finally level one. Yeah,
yeah. But I think that kind of leads us into DC20 here because I would like to
I
discuss
was gonna
that
say,
now because I'm kind of
yeah.
curious about how you've been feeling about it because I know I catch little moments when you guys are talking in your videos like about it and what you like, what you
Right.
are thinking about with it. But since you GM'd it now, how do you
Mm-hmm.
really feel about DC20? Like, what are the things that you do like? Some of the things that you're like, I'm kind of hesitant here.
Yeah.
Where do you stand right now?
I will say that the learning curve is a little bit higher, just because. Let's say if we're gonna talk D&D again, but we have to. If D&D
It's the
5e, right? If you
baseline.
take a, if you take a pure, yeah, if you take a, and I saw this on Reddit too, something similar to what I'm gonna say, but if you take like a purely D&D 5e player, like that's all they've ever played or known, or that's the only system they've used, and you
Right.
just try to take them and put them into DC20, it's gonna be a little weird for them at first, I think, because while there are a lot of similarities, there's also a lot of differences or uniquenesses that kind of add layers onto what D&D is. And again, not that D&D 5e is like basic or anything. I mean, it kind of is because 5e is like such a, I don't want to say dumbed down, but the system of 5e is so minimized because from
Mm-hmm.
what I understand is that the history of D&D, it was like a game that had a lot more differences and open things, prestige classes, etc.
Yes.
DC20 brings a little bit of that back in as well, but also further condenses some elements. So, like the max level's 10 before you enter prestige classes, where in D&D you go to 20. Daggerheart's 10, so the 10 thing is like, newer than D&D 5e. But I think
Right.
if you just take someone on D&D 5e and try to plug them in DC20, it's going to be super confusing. They'll be familiar with things, but there's still a learning curve to like, here's a difference, here's a difference, here's a rule, here's a rule. So,
Well,
and you've
it
said it
feels
before, right? It
more
feels like there's a lot
complicated.
of rules.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it feels
yeah,
more complicated because, like, my experience with it from, especially since I've been playing Daggerheart for a while now, and since I've been doing a lot more Daggerheart content, like, for me, that, and I think it's just because I've been doing more Daggerheart, it felt way too complicated. I'm like, guys, why are we doing all of this crap right now? And then that was my initial reaction after we got done playing. And then when I thought about it, I'm like, it's really not that complicated. And it didn't
yeah,
take me long to switch. It's just you have to get used to those new rules,
yeah.
and because they are bringing in a lot of different elements that D&D didn't have in it,
Mm.
because 5e tried to simplify things to get newer players in to try and make it for
Simplify. There you go.
everybody, you know um, but DC20 is bringing back that sort of
Yeah.
granularity that you kind of want within D&D, but also bringing in
Mm.
elements that you just didn't have that you wish you kind of
Right.
did, especially when it comes to weapons and because the fighter in 5e is the only one that can do maneuvers and things, and now it opens it up to where anybody can
Yeah.
pretty much do
Any
maneuvers at
any
that point.
martial class. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think
like
it's
that.
really a flexible system, and because it's so flexible, it is complicated. Like like you could easily say, is that there's so many things and so many like little rules, but once you know
Yeah,
them, it's not a lot. But I think yeah, looking in or coming straight from DD5e or even Daggerheart, it's just so different in that sense
tough.
that it does feel a little bit overwhelming. But I think me and like Fry, he'll say the same thing. But like the system itself, like the things you can do and the flexibility, and you'll see that with some of the videos we've got that are coming up. which we can talk about a little bit in this too. But
Oh yeah.
you can see how you can just really make a character anything you want. Like we were looking at, oh, can we do this or not? And we would go and we'd look through all the classes. It was like, oh yeah, we can do it right there. Oh, we can do it right there, and we could just like kind of plug and play because the way the multi-classing works in that system is much better, I think, than
Yeah.
D&D 5e. Of course, I
Okay.
never multi-classed much in D&D 5e, but it's less rigid than D&D 5e. But again, D&D 5e is more simplified, I think, which is what leads to that more rigid feel. D&D is a
Right.
great system. Love D&D. It's always going to have a place in my heart.
Yeah.
But I think DC20 like kind of breaks it and shifts it and makes it a little bit more open, but still being, kind of set in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what point nine ends up having within it and how things kind of change and what they bring to this, especially for combat because combat did take us a little bit, and I think that's just because we are learning more than anything
Yeah,
else. Um,
yeah.
because the action points, I do
It's
like the
gonna
action
change.
points. The action points are actually kind of cool.
Yeah,
It's
the
kind of
resource system is
similar.
great.
It's I've seen that kind of thing before, and it is kind of nice because then you can get a little bit more strategic with it. Um,
Mhm.
but one thing that I found that I like about Daggerheart a little bit more is the fact that by creating a vagueness to the
Yeah,
measurements and everything, and by not having measurements and by not
yeah.
having
You don't
set
have a
amount of
limit of
actions,
resources, right?
you don't defeat
Yeah,
yourself before you start getting into whatever it is you're trying to do because you can be like, hey, can I do this? And for the most part, you're going to be able to figure out, okay, well, it'll cost you 2 actions, so that'll give me 2 fear tokens. This is what you can do.
yeah.
Whereas with DC20,
There's like a consequence. Yeah,
you can see that you only have so many actions to take,
yeah.
and so you kind of defeat yourself a little bit, but it gives
Hmm.
you, I think it's a little bit more freeing in what you're doing, so that way, yes, you can sacrifice your
Hmm.
movement, and then you don't have to worry about it taking up your action point to do so. Like, you can just start
Yeah,
attacking in. So I do
I
like
think
that balance.
yeah,
Besides just
DC20 I
saying
think gives
action,
you
bonus action, movement, and that's all you got going on.
right. I think DC20 in my mind gives me the flavor anywhere I want
Yes.
it. But I'm limited because I have X resources to use for that flavor. Where in
Right.
Daggerheart, like you said, it's more of an even flow with a consequence where like you can keep going and it might get worse for you on the back end.
It'll get worse
So
for you.
Daggerheart does good with balancing the consequence, I think, where DC20 is still more D&D 5e, where it's like you can do this, but you can do all of this within that. Where D&D
But
was
it
like
doesn't
just
regulate you on what it is. Like it doesn't tell you,
right,
oh, that's not a bonus action, so you can't do it. It's
yeah,
like do what you want.
like
Use the
a
action
gain
points however you
ability.
want. So
Yeah, so I've been
I
really liking
appreciate
that. And
that.
yeah, and the dot nine is going to be coming out. Hopefully, they said by the end of February, so we'll at least
Mm,
like see. And I'm one of the Kickstarter backers, so at least I'll have access to see that. And I'll
hmm
start talking about what I'm allowed to. But I think with that, I mean that's bringing subclasses for every class. So
That'll be
I
fun.
mean that's going to change combat alone, and that's going to add even more flexibility and more definition to your character. Because like you played a fighter, right? And then
I did, yeah.
Mindy or not, Fry played a monk, both martial classes. So you were
hmm
both kind of doing the same thing. We're like we charge in, we do one attack, we do another attack, and we're out. Where he'll really start to be able to use his monk stances and do different benefits from that. And you'll be able to now the fighter is called a champion. So it depends on if you go more like warlord and like supporting your allies, or if you want to go more. I think Crusader is the other one where you're like paladin or something,
Is it
more in the
Crusader?
front.
Or I heard him talk about Commander or something like that as well at some point.
I've got them mixed up because I don't have the chart in front of me, but there's a commander might have the Crusader subclass, but champion
Possibly,
has
yeah.
warlord, and I gotta have to pull it up while we're talking. But yeah,
Well, it's one of those things that I do like what he's bringing into this because I don't know. It might just be the fact that it's refreshing and because it's new and not necessarily something that we're just kind of old hat used to. So
yeah,
I am interested by that. But even with the D&D reflavoring that they did with the Handbook 2024, it still wasn't enough. At least not for me to bring me back into the system and really try and make
yeah,
that my primary system going forward.
right,
I think that's definitely going to be something that I'm going to play with people just because we all like D&D, but not because that's like the primary thing that we want to play necessarily.
yeah,
I really do enjoy DC20 for, I mean, let's face it, the character creation was a lot of fun. It was complicated, but once you got it down, it was actually really interesting with how granular you could get. That I could, instead
Right.
of being just a halfling human, and I'm just a tall halfling human, I could actually take one of those little features that forces me to be a smaller size. So that way I'm really leaning in on the halfling side of things rather than
Yeah,
just being a human.
I love the ancestry system because it feels like it's not just one, like you're an elf and you get these three things. It's like you're an
Mm-hmm.
elf and you can get these three things, or you can get one of these, or you can switch them out. And you can do,
Right.
and then let's say you're half human, half elf. Now you're half elf, so you can get some of those traits. I really like the plug and play from that. I did pull it up. I was wrong. Commander is the Crusader and Warlord. Champion is Sentinel and Hero.
Okay, Sentinel
But
and
yeah,
Hero.
same
Okay.
concept. What I was trying to say, which is that the subclasses will bring in their more unique styles for each class, which will help you feel a little different than the next martial class person. Even though
Right.
you're using the same ability for your maneuver, you've got a whole different kit and like passives and features and things.
Nice.
But that'll be
Well, I am
exciting. Yeah.
also looking forward to how the equipment works out because I do like the way that the maneuvers work within DC20, and I'm curious to see what some of
Right.
those like magic weapons are going to look like and magic armor is going to look like in there. Obviously, haven't looked at that, but I'm kind of curious to see what they end up doing with that and how that factors into the maneuvers that you end up using, into the
Mhm.
combat, and are we going to get into that D&D level of hit points and combat style because of that, or
Yeah.
are we going to maintain this sort of style that they currently have where it's not really super high hit points, it's rather moderate hit points side,
Yeah.
and where the defense actually matters, where whether you have a shield or not means something, whether you have armor on or not means something, what type of armor you have means something. So
Yeah, that's another thing too. The way that damage is dealt in the HP. Like I said, and Dungeon Coach mentioned this in one of his videos, but it's basically like a condensed version. Like take all 20 levels of D&D 5e and smash them into 10 levels. That's kind of how it works. That's why it's got like the by five succession and things like that. Because everything's kind of skinny down in a sense to make it more compact, so that it's
yeah,
more, uh, I guess, streamlined, but also has that flexibility chopped up in between.
hell yeah.
So I'm excited to see what DC20 brings out in the future beyond .9 as well, and what we all as Shields Rest can do with it, and some of the content we can put out. I think it'll be interesting, and as that community itself grows, hopefully we can keep a pulse check and be a part of that, so that we can stay connected with everybody also.
Yeah, super excited for that because that
Yeah.
the DC20 community is a tight knit community right now. I absolutely love it. Like everyone is
We're
sticking
all ready to
together.
go. That's why we're all just like, come
Yeah,
on,
like let's do this
bring it out
already.
already. Daggerheart, you've already got your what do you call that? What's that system used to build a character?
Oh
Starts
yeah,
with a D. Demiplane. Demiplane.
Demiplane. Yeah,
You've already got
Demiplane.
like your demiplanes and things where you can build characters, and so that's why I was excited to use Foundry, because they're like ahead of the other VTTs, but they have like a character builder already in there and everything, and that just made it so much more real, and made me want to actually like try to play because it's already built somewhere that we could
Well,
use it,
it made
because
it
we're
accessible.
across the world.
It made it super
Yeah,
accessible,
accessible.
like Demiplane did, where it made Daggerheart accessible to
Yeah,
people, especially from an online community sort of situation, where you
yeah,
can have your what do you call it, your character sheet kind of built in, and people can
yeah.
see
That's what I
what you
was
do
using.
have, don't have, what they can kind of help you out through that rather than just a character sheet, So
Yeah,
I do like that a lot.
yeah. That was. I'm excited to see how that all goes, and Daggerheart's ahead in a sense where they're like, full releases come in and stuff. So like that community is going to start getting really crazy. I'm sure as soon as that happens, it's already got a good following. So
Oh yeah, I mean the Reddit and the Discord is fantastic. Those are wonderful
yeah.
resources if anybody's interested in that kind of thing. I can't tell you how much I enjoy being able to post stuff in there or ask questions, and
Mm.
everyone's really just getting full on into it, and I think it's great. But
We
I'm
all
looking
just
forward
want to
to
play and talk tabletop RPGs at
yeah,
Discord, Reddit, YouTube, Shields Rest, no matter where you are. That's what we
yeah,
want to do and talk about.
exactly. And I cannot wait to eventually have this where we're doing this in person kind of situation. It's going to be
Yeah,
so much fun. But
yeah,
yeah, when the actual game comes out, I think that's going to be really nice. I'm curious to see what the changes are for both systems to see what the official
Mhm.
rules are going to be, because I can
Right.
only imagine for Daggerheart only a few things actually being changed and improved upon.
Mhm.
The only thing I think we're really going to get within the official rules is going to be an expansion on a tool set for you to build your own domain cards, your own spells, to be able to build it
That's gotta
yourself,
add
because
something like that. Yeah.
they already have it for the adversaries. They just need to bring it to, this
Yeah.
spell so you can really create what you want to, because
Even if they don't, people are already doing it. We've got 2 homebrew communities already.
yeah, like we already got homebrew
Yeah.
communities, and we're going to be getting into some homebrew transformations. Obviously, like I said, werewolf, some
Bring your own
vampire,
card.
some elemental. We're going to get into all this stuff. I mean, heck, I'm going to bring in a lich, because the one thing they don't have in there is anything necromantic, and it's like, come on, guys, let's
Gotta have a
let's bring it
lich.
in.
Gotta have a
Gotta have
lich.
a
Yeah,
lich.
this is fantasy. Yeah.
You gotta have a
It's
path to
magic.
power,
There will be liches. Yeah. Why
Yeah.
would there not be?
I'd love to do like the next holiday, the holiday one shot as you guys actually trying to ruin Christmas instead of save it, or like why not go the
Well,
other route and try
yeah,
and be the
guys,
villains of it all? You know, it's only
down
a one
for it.
shot. But
Yeah.
yeah, well, heck, let's get
Well,
into what we're
yeah,
gonna
let's
be
just
doing here as far as like what our
yeah,
projection for the month is gonna look like.
yeah. Let's do it. So this video now, maybe I should have said this at the beginning, but this is a monthly wrap up. So we're gonna be looking to do this type of live stream engagement at the end of each month. If we have to shift it a little bit to the beginning of the month or whatever, we might. But the goal is right now at the end of the month, we'll do kind of like a monthly wrap up, and we'll talk about some of our accomplishments or things that we've done together with the community over the last month, and then we'll look at like kind of what we have planned currently. So, um, I guess for right now, for January, our battle rhythm is that we're gonna be posting at least 2 videos a week. Now, if we just get a great idea and are too antsy and we want to post one in addition, we probably will. Let's be
We
honest.
probably
But
will.
for right now, you can expect at least every Monday and Friday to get some type of video, live stream, something from Shield's Rest.
Yeah, and that looks
Um,
projected out for
we'll
January, no problem, and then kind of leading into
yeah,
February, if I'm being honest,
yeah,
because we do have a
yeah,
lot that we've already done that we're just kind of
yeah,
slow rolling it out there. But I think we've
yeah.
got a lot planned in that aspect, and that's the other point of this is gives you that projection, and then it allows you guys to kind of ask the questions and let us know what kind of content you
Mm,
want to see more of. Like,
yeah,
what did you
yeah,
guys enjoy? What do you want to see more of? Maybe, have we thought about these kinds of things? Whatever the case is, this is
yeah.
supposed to be that forum that allows you to really ask those questions and, directly ask them.
Yeah, so I guess from the DC20 side, right? Because I'm the one that's kind of running the DC20 side of things. That will be your Monday videos. The thing that we're doing in January is we're starting a new character builder series,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll be posting the calendar, I believe, in the community on YouTube here, so you can look at it and review kind of what to expect.
Yep.
But we've got a recap video that's coming out in like 3 days for DC20 to kind of close up the month of December, and then in January we're starting the character builder series, and in that we're doing a mini series of Marvel Rivals. So we've got videos for each class, and then a Marvel Rivals superhero accordingly. So the first one you'll see is Hulk, and then Wolverine, and then Storm. So that's kind of the 4 or 5 videos from now until the end of January for DC20 that are currently planned. I'll let Fry talk about things he's got going on.
Hell yeah. Well, I know for Daggerheart, I plan on bringing in. We've got the wizard class build that we're going to be putting out there, as
I
well
want to see that one.
as yeah, that I have thoughts and feelings on it. It was kind of like the sorcerer for me. I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as far as like the
Don't tell me
domain
that.
decks,
Yeah.
but I think we still build very interesting wizards. It's just when you see the domain decks that are out there, there's one in particular that makes like no sense for there to be within
Mm,
the class itself. But anywho, you'll see what I'm talking about. But we still get a
right.
little bit of enjoyment out of what we build, anyways. So it just kind of goes to
Right.
show that you're not dependent on one particular domain deck, and that really and truly you could swap these in and out and probably not affect a whole lot. But at any
Okay.
rate, so we got that coming out. I'm also going to be doing more of the GM tips as well as like sit downs with the guys, kind of discussing what they do for those individual videos. So, like the way that the four pillars, because that's going to be the first one, the four pillars and resilience, and how that affects you as a GM and how you can kind of bring that to your table in a sense, to a way to basically remove the issues that you have so you can better take care of your team. So that's going to be one of them. We've got quite a few for like Star Wars coming out as well. We're just constantly building on that, and that's my deployment folks that the people I was deployed with, and we just got together. We played twice a
Bonded
week.
forever through Star Wars tabletop RPG.
You should have seen those game nights. We would be in the maintenance bay for the damn what do you call it? The vehicle maintenance bay. Big old table, big old whiteboard, and they would just be huddled around it like it's a tactical map almost, and they're just talking
Been there.
because they were rebels. They were rebels trying to take over like imperial bases, and they were doing everything. That was so much fun. But we
Like a
stuck
live Star
together.
Wars game goes hard.
Oh yeah, no, the live Star Wars games go super hard because I had tokens that I brought with me on the deployment. So not only did I have the dice, but I brought the tokens. I had the books. They were there searching through the books for what they wanted. They were gearing up, and then they'd go out, and it was crazy the battles that they'd get into. And they're all tactically have that tactical mindset.
Yeah, they're
So
already military. Plus, everybody has a general understanding of Star Wars, right? Like everybody's
yeah,
seen that.
like come on. So we just stuck together from that because we were playing, like I said, twice a week for Star Wars. So that was freaking epic. I loved it. But then we brought it obviously to the channel, and we just kind of did a refresh. And so instead of them being rebels, they went with Edge of the Empire and just be outlaws basically. So that's been a lot of fun, and I've loved being able to maintain that connection. But it's a non-serious sort of campaign. It's just for the hell of it all. So we do that through Tabletop Simulator and have an absolute blast. So we got more episodes for that coming through. So very excited for that one. It's just a nonchalant sort of campaign, but yeah. And then I think that's about it right now for the Daggerheart GM tips and Star Wars for at least my side of the house.
Yeah. We I will say too, I'm happy that we're able to use different systems and showcase those, and hopefully someone from the community can share their experiences with those or recommend other systems if we're not aware of them. But I mean, we've used Foundry, Owlbear Rodeo, Tabletop Simulator. Now we're using that, so we're expanding our own knowledge of tabletops as well, which is one of the best things from all of this. So, and then I don't want to give too hard of a plug into February, but I'm just too excited about it, so I'm just gonna do it. We're gonna start covering Lancer, the Lancer tabletop role playing system as well. Fry will be kind of heading up the Lancer type stuff. First video, like I said, probably in February on that, but you'll see me and True and Fry probably talking through the rules and like giving an overview of like what the system is and just kind of showing that to you and also getting ourselves familiar with it. But super excited for Lancer.
It's all mechs, by the way. If you don't know what Lancer is, it is total mechs. And like I had no clue about this until Fry brought it up, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what now? And then once we started exploring it, it became my new favorite game. Like we haven't even played it yet, and it's already my new favorite game, and I just want to play that already. Because come on,
I want to play
build your own mech. Get out of here. Let's go.
So we might go to 3 videos later in the year, but because we'll have Lancer, Daggerheart, DC20, we got a lot, so we'll see.
Ton.
But that's January in a nutshell. So
oh yeah,
appreciate the community here, you guys. Like this is crazy. Like I said, we're still growing. Our original goal for the end of this year was 100. We're at 134. We set a new goal of 150. We're almost at that. Our January goal, we're hoping to get somewhere around 200 by the end of January. That looks very realistic, especially if we can keep going. We've got January planned out, 2 videos a week, so hopefully that'll bring in some new people as well. So share it with your friends, your families, tell everybody to check us out. We'll appreciate it. So
yeah, and continue to engage with us in the comments for those videos. Absolutely love the engagement we've been getting, at least from the Daggerheart side.
We're getting a lot of that lately. Yeah, I appreciate it. No,
so
DC20
nice.
as well.
Love it to death. So love you guys for that. So yeah, very, very excited about what we're going to be bringing to you guys. Hopefully it's interesting enough for you. But yeah, continue to engage with us. And if there's something that we missed, is there something that you want to see more of or an elaboration on, something that might deserve its own video because of that, let us know. Because yeah, we're here to help you all out. So yeah.
Yeah, we've got blind spots because we're focused on so many things. We're so excited to get so many different things out. So if there's something like obvious that we're missing, we need you to be like, "Hey, what about this?" And we'll probably be like, "Oh yeah, of course." So we want to do videos that you want to see. Until then, we're doing what we want.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Yeah, but yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up there, True. If you're
Absolutely.
good with it,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, hopefully we'll start seeing more people come through because yeah, this is going to be a great opportunity, like we said, to kind of ask the questions, see, get your thoughts and opinions out there in a very direct way that we can answer in the immediate moment. So yeah, but I guess until the next one, y'all, keep that shield wall strong.
That shield wall strong.
Later, y'all.